Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Foreman, and today we're going to be talking about longboards. Worldwide, over the past several seasons, there's been a real focus on shortboards. As the shortboards have evolved into hybrids and grovelers and domesticated series, the entire industry focus has been on shortboard. But there's a lot of people out there still riding longboards, and there's a lot of uses for your longboard to get you out there on the water more and make the most of the conditions. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about longboards. We're going to talk about different designs of longboards, the rails and tails of longboards, fin configurations, and also the construction of longboards. So you can choose, if it's your first longboard or even your second longboard, you can choose the right board that's suited to you, your ability, and the breaks you're going to be surfing it in. This is my own longboard. It's a Robert August Martinson Step Deck 9.6. This is a board I use a lot. I've had it for the past few seasons, and I use it a lot in smaller surf, or if I'm just taking one board to the beach, I'm going to be like family beach day, don't really know what the waves are going to be, or if I know they're going to be total junk. It's great for practicing nose riding if you just want to go out there and absolutely abuse yourself in 1 foot surf and have the comical wipeouts of your life. Cross-stepping and nose riding is a great way to do that, and it's also fun to learn something new in surfing, so I use it for that as well. Also, I'll use longboards, sometimes this one, but also maybe a high-performance longboard when we get like outer wave breaks, like in bigger surf, whether it be here in Cape Hatteras or up on Long Island or down in Puerto Rico. When you get those second, third, fourth bar or fourth reef breaks and you want to have just more water line and paddle power to get into those bigger waves, and short boards are just not going to cut it, switching to a longer board with the right design can make a big difference as far as the number of waves that you catch. So first thing we want to talk about is longboard design. Whenever we're working with somebody on a longboard, we always break it down into several simple questions. And the first one is, where are you going to be surfing and what type of longboarding do you want to be doing? Because there's two basic types of longboards. There's nose riders and then there's high performance longboards. This Martinson Step Deck would be considered a nose rider, and typically nose riders are wider. They have more foam throughout the board. They also tend to have a rounded rail all the way through the back of the board, and most of the nose riders have single fins. All of the design on a nose rider is meant to be ridden on small peeling point breaks or small peeling beach breaks, and for the design of the board to be not too fast that it races out onto the flat shoulder, the board actually is designed to stay in the pocket without having to turn to stay in the pocket. And they do that a couple different ways. One is to putting that rounded rail in the back of the board actually creates suction as the water's coming off the tail, and it sucks the board back up into the pocket, and that allows the surfer to be able to stay up on the nose and not have the whole thing race out into the flats and then nosedive. The other thing on the nose riders that's different from a lot of boards, whether it be high performance longboards or the entire shortboard category, is that they feel really good just going in a straight line. So whether you're trimming or gliding down the line, these boards don't have a concave bottom shape. They tend to have either a flat bottom or even like a little bit of a bellied bottom. And so what that does is it makes the board feel really good when it's planing, like all surfboards do. But if you're not planing and you're just gliding through the water at a slower speed, like with a real dribbly wave, or just going straight line, it has a real sleek, sexy feel going through the water, where just going straight still feels really nice, and you get a lot of fun and enjoyment out of that, and then working that into turns as well. So who is a nose rider good for? A nose rider is good for two different people. One, or two different surfers or kind of categories. The first one is if you live in a place that has nose rider specific waves, meaning like a very soft, crumbly wave that's breaking slow. Nose riders are great for that type of wave. Again, going back to that, they feel good both gliding and trimming as well as planing. It kind of suits that type of wave. And also all of those types of waves, like let's say Ditch Plains, New York, or San Onofre, California, those type of waves, or wilderness in Puerto Rico on smaller days, those waves have a very slow breaking soft feel to them. So this type of board, it works well in that type of wave. It has enough foam to float you and feel proportionate to the power of the wave. You have the ability to nose ride the board, cross step on the board, and whether it's planing or not planing, just trimming, gliding, or really going, the board feels good on that slower wave. The flatter rocker will paddle easily into that flatter face wave, like where the lip isn't going to throw you into it. Like you can get up enough speed paddling it to get into the wave, and it feels balanced on that type of wave. The other type is if you really want to get into cross stepping and nose riding, either on that type of wave or even something with a little bit more punch. The nose riders have wider mid-widths, wider noses, and more area and stability to be able to do that. And typically also nose riders have a single fin, which is going to remain in the water when you're up on the nose of the board. So those are a few different things on the nose riders. A lot, prior to this video, you probably look at all the boards and just judge them on length, but there are different designs. So nose rider is great for flatter waves and also for practicing your nose rides. I'm going to slide this board out of the video right now. The next board that we're going to look at is a high performance longboard, or a lot of times you'll see it abbreviated as an HPLB. This is a Ricky Carroll, and typically high performance longboards you're gonna see narrower widths. That's a hard word to say. Let's say more narrow widths. You're going to have a slightly more narrow nose. A lot of times it'll come to a very subtle point on the end, or just be rounded and narrower. You're also going to see less width in the tail. A big thing that you're going to see is if you look at the rocker of this board, there's a lot more rocker throughout this board. And then you're also going to see multiple fins in the tail. You're either going to see a 2+1, a quad, or a 4+1 fin setup. This has what's called a 4+1. So it has the quad. It also has a center fin. You can basically run the fin setup any way you want on this board, from single to 2+1 to quad, and any mix therein. So these boards, we've always learned, like in our short boards, that if you have more curve in the board, it's going to fit into a curvier wave better. Flat boards don't fit into curvy waves at all because the points just don't meet up. You stuff it and then you fall over the nose or over the rails. Since this board has more rocker, it's going to fit into a curvier wave better. And also, since it has more tail rocker and a narrower tail, it's going to handle speed better. So what is a high performance board good for like this? Typically the nose riders ride better trimming, gliding, cross stepping, doing slower, like kind of more stylish arced out turns. High performance longboards can be nose ridden. They're a little bit more technical to do. You have to be a very skilled surfer to do it. But they're designed to be ridden aggressively like a shortboard. So you can do those same types of bottom turns. You can do cutbacks. You can really pump the wave for speed. That's why a lot of times they'll have these multiple fin setups, and they'll have sharp edges in the back of the board to be able to get up to a higher speed than the wave and make distance out onto the shoulder and do roundhouses and do cutbacks. The additional rocker does fit into a pitchier wave better. So if the wave at your local break is a little bit more like this than the mush, this type of board will fit into that curve better. It'll just feel more natural on that wave. If you're buying your first board ever and you're looking for a board that has the widest range for a bunch of different breaks, this would be a little bit easier to learn on than a nose rider, because you wouldn't be stuffing the nose with those kind of late drops or kind of unstable drops. You would have a little bit more rocker throughout the entire length of the board to save those shaky takeoffs. This type of board, as you progress, is a great longboard for better waves. It's not going to be as good for the dribblers, but it will be, like, once you get up to thigh high and above, that's kind of when it comes into its own compared to a nose rider. And you can always use this board for, like, just maximum wave count. If it's a crowded day and you want to be sitting outside and picking off the better waves, don't pick off all the waves, that's not cool. But if you want to pick off the better waves, that's fine. And then also on the bigger days, if you're out by yourself on the second or third break and the 6-footer just isn't getting into waves, this is a great choice. If you look at places like going back to Wilderness in Puerto Rico, you see a lot of people riding a board like this on the bigger days because you're sitting so far outside and you have so much area to cover to track down waves, and you have to have so much paddle speed that something like this works really well on a bigger wave like that. So that's the high performance longboard. More narrow throughout the entire length, more rocker, multiple fins, and you're going to see a harder edge in the back, and that's going to help the board just get up and really go. Just like any other boards out there, especially like we looked at a few years ago, there was just longboards and shortboards and there was no hybrids. In longboards, they've taken different design aspects from nose riders and high performance longboards and mashed them into one. And these boards have really become some of the most popular boards in not only in longboarding but also in surfing. So if you talk about two hybrids, the two most popular longboards I would say worldwide right now are the Robert August What I Ride and then the Takayama in the pink. This is a Takayama in the pink, and this board has a lot of nose rider in it. You can see it's got a really wide nose proportionally. It's got a flat rocker. It has a big wide square tail, and you see a lot of the nose riders and they have a big wide square tail in there. Why does it have that big wide tail? The big wide tail is back there for a couple different reasons. One, like in every other surfboard in this loft, like big wide tails create a lot of lift when there's not a lot of power in the wave. But on a nose rider, when you're standing here in the pink, which is actually why they call this board an in the pink, the wave doesn't count unless you get up in the pink nose riding. When you're standing up there, that wide tail gives a lot of surface area for the lip of the wave to land on and press here to counterbalance you being up there. So that's why you'll see on my Martinson step deck, you saw a wide square tail. On the in the pinks, you see a wide square tail. That's why that tail is there, both to create lift getting into the wave and on the flat spots, but also to give it counterbalance when you're up on the nose. Now, where this board would differ from a straight-on nose rider is that they do put a little bit of a crisp edge in the back of this board, and that's where you get a little bit more performance, a little bit more speed compared to a classic nose rider. And that's why this board ends up being so popular, because it can hold its own and be one of the easiest boards to nose ride and nose ride well at those nose riding style waves. But also, if you do need the board to get up and go, you can pump the board up and down the face of the wave and create a lot of speed with these sharp edges and then the multiple fin setup if you're in that mode. So that's the Takayama in the pink. This board is designed by Donald Takayama. It's made by Horizon in a epoxy sandwich construction, which we're going to talk about a little bit later as far as construction choices. Talking about the next board in the hybrids would be the Robert August What I Ride. And again, this board has a lot of nose rider in it. It gets its nose rider aspects from the little bit flatter rocker. This board has a concave underneath the nose, so when you're up there, it creates lift to keep you up on the nose. So while the nose isn't as wide as the Takayama, it makes up for that by having the concave. So the narrower nose will actually fit into a little bit steeper wave face and not catch. And you can see it comes to a little bit of a point up front. And this board actually nose rides better than the actual outline of the board would indicate, just from the rocker and from having that concave in the nose. But when you go to the back of this board, in this board in 9 foot and smaller, they start putting that crisp edge in the back of the board. So it will work with a 2+1 setup, and it will generate a little bit more speed than a classic longboard. So this board, the What I Ride and the In the Pink, hands down two best-selling longboards out there, just because they cover such a wide range of use and ability, versatility, and in this construction, in the Tough Light, in durability. The last thing we want to talk about is the construction type that you choose for your longboard. There's basically, there's hundreds of different constructions, but you could basically break them down into two when you're talking about longboards. And you can talk about PU poly, which is your classic polyurethane blank with polyester resin. The first two boards that we showed, the Martinson step deck, the Robert August Martinson step deck, and the Ricky Carroll high performance longboard, those were both standard PU poly boards. Those boards are going to have a very similar feel to your PU poly shortboard. And when I say that, the PU core is really good for absorbing vibration. So if it's a bumpy wave or if it's windy, the board won't be bouncing around a lot. It has a real neutral feel, and it has a characteristic that people call a dampness to it. So not dampness meaning like a wet blanket, which would be viewed in a negative way, but dampness meaning that it does absorb the vibration, and you could feel the board flexing and springing out of turns. And those boards are glassed with standard fiberglass and polyester resin. That's your classic longboard, and if you go to a longboard heavy break, everybody's going to be saying go PU poly, go PU poly, go PU poly. And just because that's what the true longboard aficionados say you have to do in a longboard. And for a lot of people, PU poly is a great way to go. The boards look beautiful. They do have that nice damp feel. They do carry a ton of momentum, which is a great feeling. But if you're a person that is a little bit, let's say, not spatially aware of what a 9-foot turning radius is inside of your garage or near your house or in a parking garage, that board is going to get dinged up pretty quick because it's not super durable on land. So if you run it into the side of your garage, or if you drop it on the parking lot, that board is going to get dinged up quite easily, and you'll spend more time fixing it than you will surfing it. So if you're really careful with your equipment, like if you look at all of your other sports equipment and you're careful with it, and you take good care of it, then PU Poly is definitely something you should look at, just for the overall look of the board, the aesthetic, and the feel on the water. But if you know that you're going to be a roughhouse with your gear, meaning that a lot of your stuff you just consume, or if you're sharing it like with other people that are in your house or your other family members, and it's not always in your direct sites, you really don't have any idea what's going on with the board half the time, then a construction that's more low maintenance and more externally durable might be a better bet for that surfer. So we looked at the Horizon Takayama, and then this is also a SurfTech Toughlight construction. Both of these sandwich constructions are more durable against the dings and the bumps and the lumps that are going to happen on land, and just more maintenance free. So all the time you're surfing them, you're going to be able to enjoy surfing them, and not 50% of your time fixing them and 50% surfing them. So are there drawbacks to this construction? I would say as a beginner, no. It's all positives. As you get deeper into your surfing career and you've surfed other poly boards, these boards are a little bit lighter. Some people say they're a little bit more chattery and like really big bumpy surf, but from an aspect of surfing every day and wanting to get the maximum time out of your water time, this board you basically don't have to maintain. You basically take the wax off it twice a year and it continues to look brand new and surf at a very, very high level. So that's the SurfTech Toughlight construction, and then also the Horizon epoxy sandwich construction. So throughout this video, we've talked about the different designs of longboards, like both the nose riders, the high performance longboards, and the hybrids. We talked about rails and tails. We talked about different fin configurations, and then we wrapped it up with the construction and which one's right for you. If you have any questions, just feel free to post them on the bottom of this video, or you can always call us at Reel, which is 866-REEL-548, or international 252-987-6000. We'd be glad to help you. We've got all these boards in stock, and we ship them worldwide daily. So when you're ready to get one of your own and get out there, give us a call. We'd be glad to help out. Thanks again for joining us.